Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Yeah, that was okay. It was a little cheeky there.
A little cheeky. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it got you to make a noise when I said, "Hey, there's Tim." So I mean, that's a good sign. You know, I'll just have to get cheekier and cheekier. This is a horror movie podcast. Every episode, every week. Well, I say every week, but we actually do like 6 episodes a month now, so it's actually more than every week. Technically, it's like
Except for the months that have 6 weeks in them.
You know, I'm going to hope that was a joke and move on. So we talk about horror movies every week. We watch a movie, we get together, we talk about it. And this episode's movie is going to be The Ruins, which was actually a Patreon vote winner every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Or $5 and up patrons get to pick between 4 movies, and they voted for this one, The Ruins. And I don't remember what the vote was. Oh, actually, no, I do remember. This was all the this was the second chances. All the votes we had in 2019. We picked 4 of the losers over the year and gave them a second chance. And The Ruins is what won. So The Ruins came out in 2008 and is directed by Carter Smith. It's one that I have seen available on just about every streaming service I've ever had, and I've seen the poster, there. I've seen it on Netflix, I've seen it on Amazon, I've seen it on Shudder. Like it's just always there. It's one of those movies, but for some reason I never actually watched it. I never got around to see it.
It's one of those ones that's always available until we decide to do it, and then that's when it's like, oh, okay, now we got to pay for it.
Yeah. I was on Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime for me, Tim. I don't know about you.
No, it wasn't. I believe it was on Cinemax, but I just don't have that.
Oh, well.
That channel.
Yes, The Ruins is a film about a group of, college students who are on vacation in Mexico, and they end up befriending this German who's also visiting there, Matthias. I just said Matthias. If I don't when I saw his name written down, but they were saying Matthias.
I would say Matthias.
Matthias, yeah. A lot of potential pronunciations of this name, but they were definitely saying Matthias because I noted how weird it was. But he kind of said, "Oh yeah, my friends went to this archaeological dig site, and it's like these ruins out in the jungle, and it's like off the beaten path. It's not even on the map." And they agree to go. They go out there, and there's basically how much do you? Because obviously we're starting spoiler free here. If that wasn't clear, we'll warn you later on before we go into spoilers. But and
so they get to this site, and then they kind of are quickly surrounded by natives who won't let them leave, and then you kind of. Quickly, so they kind of like stranded it in this like little spot, and then you find out that there's some stuff that's there.
Yes, there's a horror element, of course, that puts them in danger. So yes, it's the plants, all right. It's the vines and the plants, right? They're
killer vines.
They're killer vines. That's the general gist of The Ruins. It's worth mentioning as well, of course, that it stars Jena Malone. A younger Jena Malone. This is probably the earliest thing I've seen her in. Unless
never seen Donnie Darko?
Oh, I have, yeah. I didn't realize she was in that. What age was she in that? Yeah. She must have been really young in that.
Yeah, she's probably like, maybe early 20s, 18-ish.
Wait, there's a new film called Stardust coming out this year? That's weird. Not to be confused with the other thing. Oh, she's been in stuff since the 90s. She was in Contact? I've seen Contact, but okay, I'll put it this way. This is the earliest I've seen her in something when I knew who she was. Right? Clearly some of this younger stuff I never saw her in.
See, I was like in high school I was a big fan of her because she was in all like the cool indie movies that I liked, like Donnie Darko and Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys. So
okay, all right, okay, you hipster. Oh, she was Into the Wild. I do like Into the Wild. Okay, all right, okay. So that's just kind of when she started to become a thing in my sort of, perception, if you will. Yeah. Then she was in.
Is she still a thing though? I don't think I've seen her much.
Well, she was in Neon Demon, which wasn't that long ago.
Oh, right.
She was in Too Old to Die Young this year. She was in the episodes of that.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet. Yeah. Okay.
So she's working with
Refn. In one of those Zack Snyder movies.
Oh God.
BVS or something.
Oh yeah, she was supposed to be. Yeah, she was in Nocturnal Animals, and yeah, she's actually credited IMDb's been in Batman v Superman. I guess maybe she's in the extended cut.
Well, they got to release it.
Which they did release it.
They got to release another one.
It's Justice League you're thinking of that they've not released the alternate cut, the Snyder cut, as the people on it next call it. And it also stars Shawn Ashmore, who's, I mean, ultimately they're interchangeable. There's two Ashmores, and I can't tell them apart. So Shawn's the one in this.
Okay.
Just for the record.
Okay.
All right, I'm glad you found that interesting. so much to add about Shawn Ashmore.
Sorry, I don't know too much about these Ashmores. I think he was the one that was in that video game I played. Whatever.
Quantum Break?
No, the one from the people that did Until Dawn. That's like a really dumb name.
The Man of Medan?
Yeah, that one.
All right, okay. Yeah, you're right. He is in that. Or one of them's in that. I don't know which one it is because they look the same. One was in Smallville and one was in Superman Returns, and it was the different ones. And I don't.
Okay.
It's a whole weird thing. But yes, Shawn Ashmore's in this. So. Yeah, I mean that's the premise. That's basically it. So I will ask the question, Timothy, did you enjoy the runes?
I did, yeah. It was nice to. I'd seen it when it came out, but it'd been a pretty long time. And I actually read the book for this because I think before the movie even came out, I think my brother recommended it to me. I think it's one of those kind of popular ones that a lot of people were like, oh, hey, this book's actually pretty good. And then I kind of quickly got optioned for a movie, which, as far as I remember, it feels pretty faithful. But I mean, I mean, it's been over a decade, since I read the book and stuff. So I can't really I tell you if that's true or not, but it looks like the person who wrote the script though was the author, so so I'm sure it probably is for the most part, but I actually think it's pretty good. I think the it's an interesting premise. The characters I actually found like they're kind of playing like I don't know if they're supposed to come off as like typical obnoxious drunk tourists, but I actually think they're like pretty likable, maybe because they are instantly thrust in a situation where you kind of want to see them survive or whatever. But there's definitely some good gore, like some good practical effects, and like some kind of creepy stuff that goes on with the plants, and definitely a lot of like squeamish gore and stuff in here. So I actually think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I don't love it. It's I don't know if I actually agree that the characters are that likable. They were kind of in a weird neutral place for me, I'd say.
Sure.
Yeah. For the most part,
I just feel like they weren't as like obnoxious as I thought. They were going to be.
Sure, they can definitely be worse. No doubts about that. It's it's got a lot of the tropes that you expect in a story like this. It's got the can you take us to these ruins? Like, oh no one goes there. Like the warnings that they ignore, all those kind of tropes. Like it has a lot of those things in there. It's definitely more interesting once it gets going, because I wasn't necessarily sure what the premise really was before I watched it beyond they go to some ruins. I didn't realize that it had this kind of standoff like mentality where they're kind of trapped in one place. I didn't know that was kind of the gist of it.
Yeah.
I guess I was expecting a lot more running and chasing and things like that, and I'm not disappointed it wasn't. If anything, I'm actually pleasantly surprised it was something a little bit different. It's the cast is solid enough. I don't think the characters are that interesting in and of themselves. There's some sort of not forced drama, but there's like some stuff that's set up at the start that's kind of just there to give them something to talk about later. Like there's not the characters are not interesting. There is I
kind of like though that it feels like they set that stuff up, and it feels like when stuff kind of starts to go down between some of the characters, they bring that up, but then I like that the other characters are kind of, they seem like they're quickly like, let's not worry about that, like that's not important now. Like what is important is dealing with this, and I kind of admired that.
Yeah, I think it's almost the fear of it turning into bullshit drama is almost just as bad as actually doing it, because I'm worried the whole time that they're going to do something really annoying. I think like you say, the some of the effects are pretty fun. Definitely very sort of squeamish in terms of like, you know, watching, but like, you know, like there's moments you don't like looking at, and I like the kind of the general setup. I don't know if it necessarily completely capitalizes on exactly what it's doing, and it's definitely not my favorite movie of like people getting infected by something. I'd have to go with another film that we've not done from the same year, in fact, Splinter, which I'm sure we'll do at some point. But I recall liking that one more than this. But it wasn't a bad time though. You know, we watch a lot of movies that are painful to get through, and I think this was kind of just in that sweet spot of like, oh, it's pretty watchable, and I don't regret sitting through it, and it goes in quite quick. It's 90 minutes. It does the beats that it needs to do, but it also doesn't reinvent any wheels. It doesn't do anything particularly special, or like I think there's a reason why this movie is always available to rent or to stream staple, but it's also not one that people really talk about that much. It's kind of in that weird, it's like, oh, it's not bad enough for everyone to be like, oh my god, this movie sucks, and like, can you believe how bad this is? But it's also not good enough to be like, I don't know, like,
it's not gonna make any like top 10 lists or anything like that. Like, it's not spectacular, but you know, it's also not bad either. Like, you can't really think of like much about it that would make me say like, you know, like, oh come on, like this part was so stupid, or you know, so cliche or whatever. It's like, no, it's like, you know, it is just kind of in that middle ground where it's like, hey, you know, it's good, it's not a hard watch, it's fun, but yeah, I mean, once you see it, you don't really like have a huge desire to see it again or anything, or but I mean, that's okay though. Like, you know, movies can just be okay. I feel like sometimes, you know, it almost feels insulting when you talk about a movie and you're just like, it's fine or whatever. It's like, it's not always a bad thing, especially like you said, sometimes we watch a lot of shit, and it's nice when something is just like okay or not bad.
Oh, the director of this did an episode of Into the Dark last year.
Okay. Which one?
Midnight Kiss.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah, I think that was just I think that was the most recent one, because that was the New Year's one, I believe. It was, sorry, I did not enjoy it.
He started off with shorts. He did S Club 7 Reach.
Okay.
I don't know. Did S Club 7 ever even make it to the US? Was that something that people knew about?
I do remember growing up, they had a show that was on like I think it was like ABC Family at the time or something.
Had a show?
Yeah.
What was the show?
I mean, I didn't watch it. But
they were a pop group. What the hell was the show about?
I don't know. I think it was like, I don't know, like a show about them like running around, like, you know, like kind of like a kid's like, you know, or tween sitcom or something. Like they'd run around and have to do a show or something.
All right. Okay, I'll take your word for it. That S Club 7, the sitcom exists. Weird, but anyway, I think the movie's you know, enjoyable enough. Like I think this is the sort of thing that I think is perfect for like a little marathon if you're, you know, wanting to chip away at some movies and you want stuff that's you know, at least, you know, in that kind of watchable kind of class. But that's kind of it. It doesn't really reach much higher than that either, which, as you say, is okay. It doesn't need to, you know, be the most amazing thing ever, and that's fine. So yeah, I guess we'll give the spoiler warning then, so we can talk about everything that happens in it. So just before we get into the spoilers, though, I will give some thanks to our Patreon producers for the month: David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Pelicious, and Tyler Hess. Thank you to you guys. That means that they are in the $20 or above tiers on patreon.com/MailFlashTV, where you can go and support us for as little as $1 per month, and for that $1 you get bonus episodes every month. You get one bonus episode every month. There's a back catalogue now of like 13 episodes you can check out. And so that's just for $1. $5 gets you access to the voting every month, early access to a couple of episodes, and all that kind of stuff. So go and have a look see and see if you're interested in keeping the show coming and supporting the content and all that jazz. So so the movie opens with the characters just sort of sitting by the pool, and we get a sort of basic introduction to them, an introduction to Matthias, who they kind of meet. And I actually thought it was setting up that Matthias was going to betray them, or he lured them there, because the way they kind of introduced Matthias, where he's kind of looking over at them. And I'm like, oh, is he he's going to go and make small talk and give her a earring back that she's lost because it'll make them trust him or whatever.
It seems like kind of was this around the same time as Hostel? It seems like that kind of thing where you have the these unexpected Americans in another country, and then this foreigner comes up to him and leads them somewhere astray.
A few years later, maybe Hostel 2 or 3 might have been out around the same time. So I could see that. But ultimately, the only thing of note that really happens in the opening section is when they're out on the beach and they're with this guy, this German guy, Matthias, is that Jeff, who's the med student of the group, and he's because there's two couples, so he's dating Amy, who's Jena Malone's character, and he goes to bed because he wants to study or something like that. He goes back to the room, and Amy is dancing with Matthias, and the other two, Shawn Ashmore's character Eric and Stacy, they are kind of make bets if Jena Malone will do anything inappropriate with this guy, and she kind of starts kissing him on the ear, and it's oh, this is getting kind of raunchy, and so they kind of break it up and pull her away. But it sets up this idea that when she's drunk, at least she might cheat on Jeff, and this is something that's sort of lingering over the movie from then on.
And I like in the scene too, Matthias, he kind of he kind of motion, when that starts happening, he kind of motions over towards the friends, kind of hey, can you do something about this? He's a good guy. He's not really taking advantage of her. He's kind of hey, come help out with this.
Come and pry your friend away from me, please. I mean, I think what sticks out to me is that there was a really weird random we have to have boobs in this movie scene where Stacy's getting changed, and I'm why is she getting changed in this scene? There's no reason to have this scene of boobs, and I love boobs, don't get me wrong, but it was so gratuitous for no reason. But hey, so they go off. Jena Malone doesn't want to go. She's feeling kind of sick because she was so drunk the night before, and they go anyway. They have to hike. She's in sandals, so she's not really happy about that. There's not a whole lot to say about this first little chunk, in all honesty.
No, really.
Outside of, there's the taxi cab driver who doesn't want to go there until he's paid, because he's no, you don't go there. I'll take you to one of the tourist places. And then they meet some creepy kids in the jungle who presumably go and alert the men who come and kind of confront them, because when they get to the temple, they get to the ruins, they're accosted by all these men. It's quite a number of them, and they've got guns and bows and arrows, and they're threatening to them, and basically
there's one other guy with them too.
That's true, yes. There's Matthias has got a friend with them, yes, and the red shirt, because he's about to die. Because when Amy touches some of the vines at the back, all these people start freaking out, the mines, and they shoot this other guy in the head, because he tries to come forward to sort of calm them down, and they shoot him. So everyone gets scared, and they run up to the top of the ruins, and they're these people aren't attacking them, they're keeping a perimeter, and they're not letting them leave, and if they go near them, they'll shoot them. But so they're all up top, and they're scared at this point, and this is kind of what the main premise of the movie is that they're up the top of these ruins, and they're trying to survive, because they think, okay, if we don't show up for our flight tomorrow, if Matthias's friends don't hear from him, that people will come and look for us, and that we'll get back up, and people will come and find us and save us. We just have to survive. And then slowly they kind of learn that, oh wait, no, this is not just them being hostile. They're putting us in quarantine, and they're doing this. Once they sort of slowly, and the way they learn this is, I do kind of like this actually. So after Matthias gets hurt because there's a shaft that the actual archaeologists have been using to go down into these ruins, and they're lowering him down on this wench, on this rope.
They keep hearing a cell phone, and I think he mentions like I think he said his brother went there.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he like hears his brother's cell phone, so like, oh yeah, like lower me down, like I can grab the cell phone, and we can call for help.
Yeah. So, but the rope snaps and he drops, half the distance and gets hurt. And because of this, like, we really need help. We need to call for help. Maybe we can explain to these people that someone's hurt. So, Jim, Malone, and Jeff, they go down to try and talk to them. And she gets so frustrated when they won't listen to her. And obviously, they don't speak English or even Spanish. They're speaking something else. She picks up a part of a vine and throws it at the crowd of people. And one of their kids is there. And it hits the kid in the arm. And they all just back away from the kid. And then shoot the kid right in front of them. And that's how they learn, like, no. They're not going to let us leave because they see anyone who's touched these things as a danger. And obviously at this point they don't really know why yet. Like, they've not really seen any effects of it yet, but that's kind of like how they find out that something like that is happening here. And from there, I mean, we have a series of events of how this stuff starts to affect anything that dies. The vines kind of take and kind of pull in and like consume. We see that. We also see, like, we have a whole rescue mission where they try to get Matthias up from the bottom of the ruins. Mm-hmm. And because they move him, because he because he can't feel his legs, he's paralyzed, they basically probably do far more damage to his back, to his spine, by moving him, to the point where even though Stacy was the one who was like, no, gun ho, but no, we should do this, we should definitely do this, like she's regretting it immediately as soon as they bring him up, because it's like, hey, we should never have moved him, he's probably going to always be paralyzed now.
Yeah, and of course, since like Jeff is like a medical student, he's kind of able to, help out with anyone who's having like health issues and stuff. And then, I mean, it's skipping ahead a little bit, but what they end up doing to Matthias is like, geez, like he seemed like such a nice guy, and I feel like he just like does not really deserve what like happens to him.
Yeah, because it's actually when the others are fighting that he. Well, actually, even before that, there's the whole thing where they discover after like they've been asleep for one night in their tents, they come out, and there was some vines like on one of their legs. Like Stacy's leg had a vine wrapped around it, and that freaks them out, and they're like, "Oh, what's happening here?" And they rip it off and whatever. But they go over and they lift up the blanket that's on Matthias, and there's vines that have been eating away his legs to the point where it's like you can see the bone, like his legs are like barely there anymore. And it leads to this whole thing where it's like, well, he's going to get infected and die, so we have to amputate his legs. And this is the medical student who's saying this, and Shawn Ashmore's like, no, like you're training for this, but you're not actually qualified yet. Like, we can't just listen to this. So he's like, no, he's going to die. And Matthias eventually hears this and chimes in and says, no, do it, cut them off. So we get a pretty kind of, we don't really see it, admittedly, but we get a pretty gruesome implication of them smashing his legs so that they break the bones and then cutting through the leg with basically just a small knife. Like, that's all they've got. It's it's just pretty rough. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's handled fairly well. Because you don't get to see a lot of it, though, it's not as gruesome as some stuff that comes up later on. Sure. There's definitely some stuff later on that I think was the highlight from a visual perspective in terms of horror, but the ladies waiting in a tent and like listening and hearing them scream, because that was one of the things as well, is Jeff claimed that he was paralyzed from the waist down, so he wouldn't feel any of this, but as it's happening, he's screaming. And like the ladies are like, hey, you said he wouldn't feel anything. He's like, well, he didn't. He couldn't have. It was just he could see it, so he was kind of reacting like he was supposed to. And
like there's like a lot of cutaways and stuff, but just again, just you get enough of like a sense and to imagine what's going on, and it's so brutal. It's like, the idea of having to smash his bones with a rock and then cut his legs off and then use a frying pan to like what do you call it, cauterize the wounds. It's just like bad for the guy. And then like it almost seems like It's almost kind of like comedic. Then afterwards, you see the vines just dragging his legs away.
Yeah. That's where we see them kind of come to life and just take it away, and he's on his own. I think it's the sound effects that make this the most effective of the whole sequence. Like you hear all of it. You don't see all of it, but you definitely hear all of it. And that's, is what it is. Of course, there's the dark irony that he's the first of the five to die, from this remaining group, and it happens when the rest of them are fighting. We'll get to kind of that separately, but he is basically, the vines go in his mouth and choke him to death, and then drag away his body. But there was actually a really darkly funny line from Eric when they see that he's died, where he just kind of goes, "Good thing we cut off his legs." It's like, okay. Yeah, maybe not reading the room right, but still, it was actually pretty funny. So the thing is that Stacey has like kind of her own side of this, where she slowly freaks out more and more throughout the film. She obviously gets scared, and she starts to freak out and suspect that there's vines in her, and she's worried. But the big thing happens that she basically freaks out and overhears that she thinks she hears Amy and her boyfriend Eric, Shawn Ashmore, having sex, and she comes out of her tent and says, "Well, how are you out here, screwing when I'm right here in pain, blah blah blah." And they weren't, they were sitting having a conversation. We saw the whole scene. Like, we know they're just talking about what the plan is and how their only chance to escape might be for someone to make a run for it and get away. And this is where the whole, her possibly cheating at the start of the movie kind of comes into it. And Stacey yells this out about her, and so on. But of course, the actual sound that she was hearing was created from the flowers on the vines, which we had revealed in an earlier scene, where they go down because they hear more phone ringing, and the two girls go down to the bottom of the ruins, and they actually see, and it's actually a pretty neat effect. You see these flowers kind of like shimmering as if they're making the sound. It's almost like they can mimic sounds that they've heard.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. They get attacked by the vines and they have to run up, and it's kind of a whatever scene. I think what's interesting about this to an extent for me is that the movie could almost function without the vines themselves. Like, you could just skew it a little bit and have the people that are keeping them there keep them there for some other reason, and it's more about a survival of how do we escape. And I think that's actually where a lot of the interest comes from. The vine stuff, although, does add a lot of fun horror stuff to it, and I do wish it kind of almost went further with some of it, but there is some good stuff to be had. Stacey being convinced that the vines are inside her, and there is at one point after the fight, and Jeff cuts it out. He gets some alcohol for the wound, and he cuts into her, and he pulls out this vine parasite thing and throws it to the side. But there's then one on her forehead, and she thinks there's one on her forehead. She's aware of it, but they all kind of they kind of lie to her because we can't really do anything about that. But she ends up getting a knife herself, and when they get out of their tents the next day, she's just slashed herself in multiple places. And this is what I was talking about, how there's a really great horror visual later. Her having all these slices all over her body, and her reaching into them and trying to pull things out of these gashes. Looked really good from a gruesome perspective. It looked, and she's saying, it's okay, I just have to get this one. She comes across as properly psychotic by the time she says this.
Yeah, she does a great job of she's playing that paranoid character, but this is one of those instances where she is right. We see the vine kind of swimming through her skin, and like you said, that visual of her just all cut up, and then at some point they are literally pulling vines out of her, and that was definitely one of the most squeamish parts of the movie. But there's a lot of different things at play here. You have the danger of the villagers killing them if they go too far. Then you have the danger of the vines, and then also just the idea of survival, because they kind of bring up stuff about having to ration water and food and everything, but then it feels yeah, they kind of get away from that, especially once
That
all the Vine stuff goes down.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I would have went further with in the movie is that they mentioned the rationing water early on, but ultimately it never really feels like it's that much of a factor for the rest of the film. Like, the food and water situation, it never feels like it really plays into it too much. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure you could say, oh, part of why Stacey's going crazy is because she's not had anything to eat or drink, really. I'm sure, yeah, you can say that it's affecting things, but I don't think the movie really does much with it in terms of really making plot out of it. But no, it is there. That element is there. And honestly, the survival stuff and the planning and trying to get away might be my favorite kind of like. It's essentially a bottle. I mean, once they get there, it's all at this one location, and it's about how do we try and escape.
Honestly, I do kind of like all the different ideas and them all kind of coming together and everything. But yeah, I don't know. It does feel like maybe there is stuff that could have gone farther with, or maybe might have been a little interesting. But at the same time, I don't know. I do like what we did get.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of I wish, like, I like all the ideas. I just wish they took some of them a bit further. That's maybe my thing. But so Stacey, in her freak out moment, when they try to take the knife away from her, she actually ends up stabbing Eric, and Eric dies, and the Vines come for him. And then once she realizes what she's done, she begs for them to kill her. So Jeff steps in and kills her with a knife. It's really, so at this point we're really dark ending, and ultimately Jeff's like, okay, he wipes like blood from Stacey all over Jena Malone and says, right, we're going to pretend you're dead. I'm going to distract him. You're going to run away, and she does. And this is the one weird thing about the ending for me is that this works. He kind of lures them away from her, like what they think is her dead body. And then he gets shot with arrows and guns and this whatever, and she runs away. She gets to the Jeep and she drives off, and that's basically the end of the story. But all I could think was that, morally speaking, like, I wish they'd done more with the idea that maybe they should choose not to leave, because once they see what the Vines are doing, because it's not just that the Vines are attacking them, it's that it's literally growing on their clothes and on their skin. It's that there is like a disease element to it where they now have it in them, and it will spread.
I mean, it does feel like on the one hand, you kind of want the characters to survive, I guess, but then on the other hand, it is like, I don't know, like, it would probably be better if you were just like, we should not, keep going, or like you just go down there and you're like, hey, we finally get it. Just kind of, point to the guy with the gun and be like, hey, can you take care of us? Like, that's the one weird element for me, is that I wish to get into the morality of it, because when Jena Malone gets away at the end, I'm kind of like, should she though? Like, I don't know if she should. Like, this is a bad idea. And I think what's weird as well is that the final little scene is like, a scene of like the Greek friends of Matthias like showing up at the temple as if they're going to be like the next victims. And I thought what was strange about that is that I did a bit of research, and the original ending of the movie was different. It was actually going to be like Jena Malone did die eventually, just from being infected, and like from her grave, like the vines were growing, and that was going to be like, it was like the gravedigger or someone was going to like be reaching out to touch it, and that would be the end of the movie. Yeah, they actually filmed it. I don't know if you watched it or just read it.
I just read about it. I didn't see it. No.
I think if you go to like YouTube, you can watch it, because Melissa was actually looking at it, and she was like, "Oh, hey, here's a alternate ending." But it was kind of cool. Like, the one thing I thought that was kind of weird about it is, they show like a cemetery, and you just see a grave that says Amy, but it's like there's no last name, which I thought was kind of weird. Yeah,
that's odd.
Right. But then it's like. I think there's like a grave digger that's like walking by, and he's like whistling, and then he passes by the grave, and you see like a flower growing out of it, and then the flower starts whistling too.
See, I actually,
it's kind of cool.
I prefer that ending because it actually follows on from what the main story ended with. Because the way this movie actually ends with just these two other guys like finding the ruins, all I could think was, well, but Jena Malone got away. She's going to spread this to the rest of the world. Like, you could literally do a sequel to this, which is like post-apocalyptic, where like it's not all over the planet. Like, you could do something like that potentially. So I think that's a little bit weird, and I do wish that moral choice. Like, I really think that as the movie went on, it should have maybe become this moral debate between characters who think, no, we shouldn't survive this. We should not leave here.
Well, I think especially with Jeff, he's kind of set up as being like a little bit more like clinical and a guy that kind of is calm and thinks things through. So and especially with his medical background, like he seems like the kind of person that would be like, no, like we got to think about we don't want to spread disease, like like he's looking at it very like clinically and medically as like, oh no, we should stay here, and then that could create like some more conflict.
Yeah, and I think that's where the really interesting conflict could have come from. But even knowing what he knows, knowing that this thing could spread, and that like essentially understanding that what these people are doing around them is actually a good thing and keeping like the rest of the world safe. Yeah. He still like devises this plan for Jena Malone to get away at the end, and all I could think was, I don't know if this is the right choice, and I feel like the movie should have explored that. That should have been okay. I'll accept that maybe they ultimately decide that, like, for whatever reason, that okay, maybe we actually weigh the odds and get her to a hospital so people can actually examine this and understand it or whatever. But like, there's nothing. It's just no, just get away. Let's not think about it.
Like, also, especially like I don't think it's a bad plan that they come up with, but it still feels too easy. Like, because he's talking to him, and as he's walking, the villagers and stuff are following him, which is fine. I totally get that, but then it still feels like they're not that far away. That once she starts running, it seems like the people should like very quickly like turn around and be like, oh shit, she's alive. Like,
what I thought was going to happen here, what the plan was, I thought it was going to be like once he's dead, they're going to leave because they think everyone's dead, and then she was going to get up and leave. But she didn't. She got up when like he was just still being shot. It was kind of I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and like even if you say like, oh well, when he screams and they fire the gun, that noise is supposed to cover the sound of her getting up and running. It's like, no, I think they would still hear it,
Yeah.
Or at the very least, sure, she gets a head start, and you see like some arrows and stuff fly by her, but it's still like pretty unbelievable that she'd be able to outrun him, especially like after a couple of days of like not eating and drinking and stuff. And I mean, it's it's a minor it's a minor quibble. Like I don't think the ending's necessarily like bad, but it feels like it could have been better.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But I mean, I do think we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but like I really do like the the Vides themselves. I do like, and the idea of them being able to mimic like sounds and stuff is just like a really good like idea, especially like in terms of horror. There's a lot of like really cool creepy stuff that you can do with that. And then like I think there's one instance where Stacy's like being paranoid and stuff, and like she'll say something and then you just kind of hear it like repeated in the background, like she'll be like, cut it out, and then you just hear like cut it out, and like all this kind of like there's some like generally like pretty cool horror moments like that.
That was a good idea. I like that.
I think like you said though, like that it like that's one cool thing, but maybe like maybe like it would have been better if they could have thought of like maybe another few things that kind of put it over that. Like it's I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily like a bad thing, but I feel like the most of the complaints aren't stuff that's in the movie itself, but it's more like stuff that was omitted, like things like, oh, would have been cool if they did this, or like, hey, like if they went farther with this thing or anything. It's it's more like complaints about stuff that we would have liked to have seen, or could have gone farther.
Yeah, I think there's a scene actually where Jeff says, "Oh, this thing that's here, this these vines, whatever this is, it has to be really old because the insects and stuff know not to land here, and like the animals are scared to come here." And I thought, on the one hand, I was like, okay, I guess maybe I kind of like that, but it's also just kind of a convenient, like they realized that people would say, yeah, but what about animals like coming in here and spreading it? So they just wrote this in to explain why it's never spread, which I think's fine, but like it's just I thought I'd mention that.
For sure.
So I mean, I think the movie is enjoyable enough. I don't think it goes far enough with any of its premises. Like I say, I think the moral debate of like should we go or stay is missing. But there is fun stuff to be had. I don't think the cast are annoying, certainly, and You know, it's an interesting little survival movie, if nothing else, with some nasty like sort of IDs and effects here or there. Not the nastiest, but certainly some cringeworthy stuff. Some you know, heebie-jeebies type stuff. So that's basically it. So Tim, what are you giving The Ruins out of 10?
I think I'll give it a 6.5. I think it's a pretty good, fun, enjoyable watch. But yeah, like you said, it's maybe just missing like a few little pieces or a little bit more oomph to, you know, kind of push it over the edge from just being like, all right, that was good, you know, to versus something like, oh wow, this is awesome. Like, you know, we're still talking about this movie. But no, it's certainly enjoyable. Like if you come across it and haven't seen it before, I think it's a decent watch. And like, you know, it's and it does something that, you know, really, you know, I can't really think of too many other movies like it. Like there's certainly, you know, plenty of like survival movies and stuff, but like, you know, Killer Plants is kind of a cool idea. I don't really see much of that.
I've got a movie actually on DVD called Contamination 7, which I think is also technically, like, I think it's in some markets was called Trolls 3.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
All right.
I could be wrong. I'd have to double check that. But that's about killer veins, so we'll have to do that someday.
Okay,
maybe
sounds great.
Maybe as a bonus. But anyway, so what did you give that there? What number was that?
6.5.
6.5.
Pretty good, but yeah, it's not over the top.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go.
Probably, I would say probably one of the better Ben Stiller horror movies.
Wait, what? Explain that.
Did you not watch the credits? Ben Stiller produced it.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, Ben Stiller was involved.
That's why I don't know if you saw the tweet I did from Screams, but
I did see that actually. Yes, I was confused by Ben Stiller. I thought it was going to be a play on words. I thought there was going to be something in this where like a character was called Stiller or something like that. And then I wasn't paying attention for it because I'd forgotten about the tweet by the time I was watching it. But so yeah, I think I'm going to go with just the straight 6. I think I'll go just a nudge lower, mainly just because of missed potential of its various ideas. But a decent enough watch though, and I think it's just fine. And you should, you know, if you want a nice, easy little movie to watch, I think it's one that I'd recommend just throwing on and having some fun with. But yeah, because this is the thing, we actually use our whole 10-point scale. This is not a video game review show where the only ratings that exist are 7, 8, 9, and 10. 6 is still above the 5 mark. 6 is fine. 6 is a perfectly watchable thing. Many a 6 that I greatly enjoy. So,
sure.
So The Ruins comes in at 6 out of 10. So
yeah, and again, I like what you said. You know, missed potential. Where you know, I don't think it necessarily like a lot of stuff that's on there is bad, but you know, I guess I mean I think it's a maybe a better of a complaint to be like, oh no, we like what's here, we just want more and maybe expanding some stuff versus like you know, oh no, we're deducting points because of stuff that is on screen is bad.
Yeah. So
and again, it's been a while, but I would recommend the book too if anyone. You know, it's a nice. It's not too long. It's nice if you're looking for like especially during the summer, like a horror vacation book. If you're, you know, traveling somewhere, it's a nice little read.
Although not if you're traveling to ruins and. Yeah.
Well, that might help you with what not to do.
Only go to the touristy ones where there's like tourist signs and people guides and things like that. But yeah, that is The Ruins, which will wrap up the show more or less. You can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff, all of which is greatly appreciated, and you're much loved for it. But otherwise, check out other content that we make on MailFuzz TV, other than Streams After Midnight. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.